The first time I touched an Xbox One was at Howie's Game Shack. I will always remember how sleek and sexy the original interface looked, and how the controller felt like a slightly more matured Xbox 360 controller. I remember playing Watch Dogs and being amazed at how powerful the game engine seems now compared to the engine running on Xbox 360. However, that was the height of my hype for the Xbox One. After playing the initial baseball stadium mission in Watch Dogs, I ran over to the PCs to play Killing Floor with my friends. I am a patient person. I do not get the urge to buy a game when it releases, because I know in this day and age the game will have its bugs. Plus, it'll be half the starting price in a year anyway. However, when it comes to video game consoles, I know to never buy on release because the launch titles are usually garbage. Their only purpose is to really showcase the new console's capabilities, or so I have been told. Since I didn't get my Xbox One day one, I never played any of the launch titles for it. I mean, until today. Today I've picked up 4 Xbox One launch titles, all varying in gameplay and in genre. I'm not counting on that any of these games will hold up graphically or gameplay, but here's to hoping. Now, I won't be able to use my scam review process today. However, I've made up a special review process just for this video. It's my FAD review process. The F stands for how much fun I had, the A stands for appearances and gameplay, and the D stands for the game's datedness. You know, how well does the game stand up today as its own entity and not just a launch title. I'll be going in alphabetical order, so today we'll start with... The only other Battlefield game I've played in my life is Battlefield 1, since I was interested to see how DICE would handle World War I. I've never touched any other game prior because I was intimidated. You see, the only first-person shooter I've played at this point in my life were Call of Duties, so watching gameplay of any Battlefield game made me scared to even touch the game, since it seemed so convoluted. So all through my adolescence, I stuck with the run-in with the golden shotgun game rather than the scary flying jets game. Now, Battlefield 4 isn't technically a launch title since the game was already released for Xbox 360. However, it was released again for Xbox One with the promise of better graphics and, more importantly, upgraded servers. Whereas the 360 can only hold 24 people in one game, the Xbox One could hold 64, which in 2014 was unheard of to a console player. This makes no difference to me since I never played it on the 360 in the first place, but I have to say that the 64-player conquest is the most fun I've had in a first-person shooter since I played Battlefield 1. I know it is cliche to say, but it just works. From how quick you can get into a match, be deployed and sent into combat, it must have took under a minute. Sadly, I played Battlefield 4 DLC-less, which restricted my choice of game modes, so I will have to take away a point for that. Now, Battlefield can either be fast-paced, running and gunning type game, or it could be a more relaxed, take up a spot and camp for an hour type game, and it's really dependent on the type of gamer you are. And since camping is a legitimate strategy, that's what I opted to do. However, since the game is almost a decade old, the 64-player servers can sometimes be sparse, and finding people to shoot can be a hassle. But that's not something DICE can really fix, that's just the way the world is. The story mode, on the other hand, leaves more to be desired. The AI is just fucking stupid, and the story is a dime a dozen. A small group of American super soldiers has to stop World War III from occurring by slaughtering rival militaries. It's alright. It was fun for the few hours I played, but I don't see myself ever playing it again. Battlefield 4 is not as good as Battlefield 1 in my opinion, but it does hold up as its own entity and has staying power due to its immaculate multiplayer. And I assume that the servers will stay up for years and years to come. So I will give it an 8 on how much fun I had. I loved what I could play, but I don't really like the fact that I have to buy DLC to play the full game. An 8.5 on appearances and gameplay. Single player looks amazing, but leaves the player wanting more. The multiplayer looks very 2013, but keeps the player engaged. And 1 on its datedness, with 1 being not too dated and 10 being very dated. If I played Battlefield 4 today and he didn't tell me it was made in 2013, I'd assume it was a 2016-2017 game. All in all, Battlefield 4 gets an 8.25 out of 10. Props on being more than just a launch title. Dead Rising is one of my favorite zombie franchises. I mean, Dead Rising 1 came out at a time where zombies were not overdone yet. So playing as Frank West, pushing zombies around in a shopping cart as ambient mob music played was such a big breath of fresh air. Honestly, Dead Rising 1 was one of the first games I played on the Xbox 360, so there's some nostalgia factor to it. However, when Dead Rising 2 came out, I felt like I was watching a movie. Chuck Green is a bona fide badass, not afraid to look stupid as he brings home his dying daughter a fucking pet tiger. Sorry in real life dad, Chuck Green is my dad now. But what set this game ahead of Dead Rising 1 for me was the combo weapons. There has never been another game where you can combine a toy helicopter and a machete and create something as cool as this. 11-year-old Jacob would spend 5 nights a week just bringing different weapons to the workshop to see if I can make a new combo weapon out of them. Dead Rising games make the zombie apocalypse seem fun in a way that doesn't feel gimmicky or monotonous. So initially playing the intro of Dead Rising 3, I was worried. I thought that Capcom was taking a more serious approach, as serious zombie games started to become the standard for most zombie games releasing in the early 2010s. Playing through for just 20 minutes after that, I was never so happy to be wrong in my life. Now, looking at the game, yes, Dead Rising 3 does take a more gritty and monochromatic route than its predecessors. However, the classic Dead Rising gameplay shines through as you start combining car engines and boxing gloves, or a scythe and a katana. Killing zombies in this game is a blast. As long as you're on foot, exploring and doing side missions, there's a lot of fun to be had. But while you're driving around in vehicles, it feels like you're controlling a stick of butter with an RC car controller. But there's one thing for sure this Dead Rising has in common with its predecessors. The main storyline is boring. It feels so detached from what you're actually doing while you're having fun and playing the game. No one cares about whoever this person's name is. I just want to fly around in a dragon costume and fucking pile drive zombies. And trust me when I say there's no lack of zombies to kill in this game, because they are everywhere. I'm pretty impressed with how many zombies are able to be on the screen at any given time. My mind would have been blown if I saw this in 2013. A nice example of how powerful the Xbox One is. But if we took all the zombies out of the equation, this game kinda looks like shit. What are these shadows? And look how blobby everything looks. No wonder why everything is the same color. It's so the player isn't as distracted when things pop in or pop out of frame. Plus, the main character Nick Santos is shit. His hair is shit. His starting attire is shit. And he is nowhere near as memorable as Chuck Green or Mr. I Covered Wars Now. I would have rather played a silent protagonist that I would have created myself than play as this human equivalent of a moth. Dead Rising 3 pales in comparison to its bigger siblings, but could stand alone as its own game only when it's released with a new console. Nothing about this game screams finished product that I'm proud of. It more whimpers I was made with only one goal in mind, and that's all I'll ever be remembered as. I'll be given a 7.26 on how much fun I had, a 6 on appearances and gameplay, don't argue with me, and a 6 on its datedness. Playing this game sent me back to 2013 for all the wrong reasons. When I think of Xbox One launch, my mind always thinks of this game. I remember seeing the gameplay at E3 in 2013 and basically shitting my pants. This is what video games are going to look like from now on? My 14-year-old mind was blown. Ryse Son of Rome was the only game that I thought would make the Xbox One worth having at launch. However, since this is what our family fridge looked like most of the time, an Xbox One wasn't exactly on the top of our list of priorities. So my want for this game slowly fizzled, to the point where I forgot this game existed, until I saw it on my trip to a certain video game store that always smells like old carpet and is like 10 degrees colder than it needs to be. But that's besides the point. I'm actually rather excited to play this game. And 4 minutes into the game and all the excitement is drained. Ryse Son of Rome is an absolute snooze fest. No, to be fair to snooze fest, I've been more entertained by my dreams than I've been by this boring ass game. A facade would be the best way to describe what I experienced, in the way that all the gameplay looks fun and fluid and gory, when in actuality Ryse plays like a chunky wobbly mess. Hell, even as I show you some of this gameplay, it looks like I'd be having fun while I play, when in reality I looked like this the whole time. Never have I played a game that felt like a really long demo than an actual finished product. It's like I felt pestered to keep going forward with the hopes that something revolutionary would happen, and every time I thought the story was going somewhere or the gameplay was going to become ferocious, Ryse would just fall flat on its face. Remember in Arkham Knight where you get that super mega batsuit and then you wreck Anus? I wanted that feeling in this game, but the closest I got to that was the same 6 execution animations on repeat over and over. Regarding the story, it's there just to be a story, not to be a good story or an exceptional story or even an entertaining story. You know, actually there's a cutscene where one character tells the story of Damocles and how he raised from the dead to kill, and there's this awesome art style. I want to play this game. Not this game. This game is trash. I'll be giving Ryse Son of Rome a 4 on how much fun I had, 8 on appearances and gameplay. It looks and plays fine, but imagine you're playing like a C-rate Assassin's Creed game, and a 5 on its datedness. Overall, Ryse Son of Bone gets a straight 5 out of 10. This is the most straight-edged and boring M-rated game I've ever played in my lifetime. After the clerk at GameStop scanned this game, she said, "My friend won't stop talking about this game." And then I said, "Please don't talk to me, Danielle. I don't like you or this establishment." I'm kidding, I did not say that. I just sat there in silence since I had just woken up from one of those naps that make you feel like you've just awakened from eternal slumber. The reason why I'm telling you all this useless information is 1, because I have to kill time as the game is installing, and 2, I don't know anything about the Zoo Tycoon franchise. I only have vague memories of seeing the games at Hollywood Videos and thinking they were being sold for so much more than I thought they would be. It was always sitting at a constant $49.99 for some reason. I never understood why, but goddamn, I understand why now. This game is the best game out of the 4 I played for this video. Straight up, not even joking, I had an absolute blast playing Zoo Tycoon. Like stated before, I had no idea what I was getting into with this game, but it's a lightning in a bottle hidden gem for me. Now, I love any game where you get to basically be a god and build from the ground up, a society or a business, you know, games like SimCity, City Skyline, or hell, even those dumb Facebook games I used to play when I was like 12. But at one point in all those games, you get a little teensy bit stressed. But in Zoo Tycoon, it's peaceful all the way through. If you even have a little bit of anxiety or stress, I think this game would be a perfect game just to mellow out and play. To put it simple, you're building a zoo from scratch, slowly acclimating animals into your empty habitats, while taking care of them by feeding them, washing them, and playing with them. Yes, sometimes the game gets repetitive, but I've never played a simulator type game that isn't. Now, this isn't going into the guys I finally vault of good, but it will stand proudly on the shelf of games that are in my regular rotation for the next month or two. All in all, Zoo Tycoon gets a 9 on how much fun I had, 7.5 on appearances and gameplay. The game isn't exactly a looker, but the gameplay keeps it all afloat, and 0 on its datedness. Overall, Zoo Tycoon gets a 9 out of 10. Though I only played 4 of the 23 titles that Xbox One had at launch, I'm inclined to believe that Xbox One's day one must have been pretty underwhelming. Given the fact that most of these games are just Xbox One enhanced of old generation games, I'm pretty delighted to say that I didn't purchase any of these day one or year one. But for the price all these games go for now, I can't say I regretted any of my purchases. However, I probably will throw Ryse Son of Rome away. Pretending that I'm back in 2013 and also pretending that these were the 4 games I got on day one, I'd rate the entire experience as a 6 out of 10. Bye. I love you.